Hi, everybody. My name is Blake Cabot. I'm sorry we're a little late. I am the owner of FacePaintcom, and I'm thrilled for your guys' support from last year. I know it was hard, and but I think we made it through it. So, yes. And we're thrilled to have Prima Barton from Australia here, and she is going to show us pro techniques. And last time we met, as she reminded us, COVID hadn't really started, and now it has. So it's alive and well. Though I guess it's better in Australia than it is here, right?
Yes, it is. And we have lower numbers than anywhere else in the world, but still we are always aware that it could be somewhere lurking there. So we still have to be careful. So we are back doing some face painting jobs now, but we do have limitations on how many people we have to serve.
Oh, really?
So
Okay. How many people can you serve?
yeah, well, before when we say for birthday parties of 2 hours, we
Hmm.
just say that we can paint up to 25. But because of the new techniques that we have to apply on the job to clean the paint, the brushes and everything, we are just now saying, okay, we can only paint up to 20 people in an
Hmm.
hour now. And then when we're serving on public events, we can serve an event that has over 500 people in it,
Hmm.
you see.
Wow.
And yeah, and we have to actually have our own bubble, meaning we have to barricade our area. No kids or parents can come into that bubble and touch our things.
Hmm.
Otherwise, we have to shut down the face painting gig on the day.
Wow.
So,
Well, it
yes.
sounds a lot more normal than our life. I tell you that much. I mean,
It-
I was talking to a lot of face painters, and they've not been working, or a lot less than
yeah,
they used to do. Okay,
yeah.
with that all started, well, let's get to some pro techniques. There's a lot of excitement. Iris says she's excited. Andrea gave me a woohoo. Zuri's there, of course. Thank you, Zuri, for coming. So, without further ado, take it away.
Okay. So, hi everyone. This is Prima Barton from Australia, and if you are a beginner and wanting to do go pro, nowadays it quite changed a lot. Okay, so before then, pre-COVID, we have an array of techniques that is a lot easier to follow. But nowadays, when we serve um, our clients, it's quite different. So first, you probably have learned, if you are already face painting, right? You probably have learned how to do your teardrops and one stroking, beginners of one stroking, and focal points. So now basically it's going to be a little bit of a refresher because I know everyone haven't been, no, well, not everyone, most of us haven't been face painting lately. Um, and I can feel you because I have a lot less gig lately. That's why I seek job employment. But yeah, so um, first we're going to show about one of the things that a lot of people complain about is like children who has bangs,
Ah,
right?
yeah.
Yes. Okay. And the low line hairline like that. Okay, so how do you attack that problem in a pro manner? All right. So basically,
I got to say, we got
if
an
you
all-star
have
cast. We
some,
have Patty DeLeon, Pam Kinnenberg,
hi
Andrea
Patty,
Mulhay,
hello
Zuri
Andrea,
Johnson. We
love
got
you.
some, and a lot of other fellows, guys and gals. And so we have somebody from Singapore and Florida. So a lot of diversity here. So that's great.
Wow. Well, hi everyone. I hope I'm not keeping you guys awake. But anyways, so if you have any questions or any like that something comes into your head that you usually have problem with when dealing on the job pre COVID or even now it's COVID time, just ask me, okay? Because I'm still serving at events now and at parties in limited numbers. Okay, so I can tell you what I do by experience. So this is the common problem, right? Common pre or COVID time is the banks, right? So how would a professional face painter attack this, right? Excuse the use of a very shallow words or yeah. So anyway, if you're on the job and it's public event, don't try pin that up. Okay, like let's say someone asks, "Can I have a butterfly, please?" And they have a banks come to you and they have a banks like that. Don't try and pin it up or spray it with water. Just say, "Okay, you wanted a full face butterfly like this, but it doesn't work because you have a banks. Just paint the butterfly on the cheeks, right?" But if you are in a, let's say, private party setting, that's the time you actually would love to impress your audience, and because they are potential clients, you see. So if you get a child that has a banks like this, you must be prepared by having a stash of clips. Okay, and this clip, you don't take it back, you just give it to them. Even if they come back to you and say, oh, especially nowadays, you can't do that. Once they have it, they can keep it. So you just pin the hair back and paint. You don't argue with the child. You just say, oh, because you get bangs, blah, 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 blah. No, that's not what a professional do, all right? You have to do what they wish, especially on private events, okay? So now, if a child has their hair pinned back like this is one of the number one complaints I hear in classes, right? The low line, hairline right here, and they actually have a lot of what you might call uh, baby hairs still. What you do with that? When they ask for a butterfly, right, and it's pinned back like that, just make the wing a little smaller, okay? Because I found that this ethnicity, uh, they're actually very particular with what they like. If they vision that they want to be full-face butterfly, you have to do it. Okay, you don't want to offend them. So it's not just face painters are not just face painters. Okay, we are entertainers. We have to please them in a way that we can and not upset them, because I have seen a lot of beginners that actually start reasoning with their customers, because I do work with some artists at times with that I take with me, and I observe how they serve our clients, and there are a few that I actually found that not really good to bring with me, because they have reasonings all the time. You have to please everybody, okay, in a manner that it's possible. All right. So
Jennifer
now,
buys tree hair bands 3-pack for $1.
yeah, uh, that's true. I found that hair clips is a lot cheaper, and I have, you know, those TikToks or spearmint containers, the metal ones. I just wrapped it with this colorful thing and added a magnet at the back, and it actually sticks on your kit, and it takes a lot of hair clips in there. So the less bulky it is, the better. Okay. So now we have talked about hairlines and bangs. Okay, even a boy like that, right? Let's say he wanted to have a tiger. I've seen a lot of teachers would say, move their bangs up, spray with water, and start sponging here, because full face tiger, right? But what's gonna happen when this kid starts running around? They will start to sweat. And the first part of their face that will sweat is where that hair is. Okay. So when you're going to paint that as a tiger, just paint up to here. Don't try and paint underneath that hair, because no matter what you do, unless you pin it back, you spray it with water, eventually it will fall back down. All right. So
Mhm.
don't do that. Now we are going to move on designing facial mapping. Okay. Is there any question yet? No one?
Andrea mentioned that she used glitter to hold up the hair as well.
Glitter to hold up the hair. Yes, yes. Especially if someone like have pinned their hair back already and there's
Mhm.
still some baby hairs poking. It's annoying when you're doing your line work. Glitter or whatever that would hold the hair back up
Mhm.
is a really good thing. Okay. So now
Mhm.
we're going to talk about focal points, because these are one of the things that you have to actually keep in mind when you're working on the job. Okay. So is my other screen showing?
Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Cool. Okay. Because I can see that. I'm going to put it on here. Okay. So this is my child right here.
Mhm.
And I just want to talk about how I have came up with uh, the design flow on this one, because it is
Oh,
very
somebody wanted to see the hair clips.
hair clips. Yes, hair clips. I must admit, when I was starting face painting, I thought, because back in the Philippines, we try to save money. We just use headband, one headband for everybody. It's very hygienic, isn't it? All the needs and stuff passing to other children. That's wrong. You don't do that ever.
No. No.
Okay. So hair clips are made for that. So anyway, with this design right here, or should I just paint it on myself? No, because I'm gonna paint this later. Okay. So when we are creating a design on the job. So when someone says pro, oh, she's a pro, he's a pro, it doesn't mean all their work is spot on, right? Like realism with the highlights and that, because the time pressure and then the environment that you are in, even if you're professional, you will actually mess up sometimes. So if you are a beginner and wanting to go pro and you're giving yourself a lot of hard time, don't, because even professionals do feel like they're a beginner too sometimes. Okay, but there are really important things that you have to keep in mind to look like a pro when you're working on the job. You must look like you actually know what you're doing. And this is one of the things that is really important. Okay. So this is going to be like a refresher to others who's already know what to do. Okay. So basically with this design right here, okay. So my focal point is in the middle
Mhm.
and right on the mat of my daughter right here. And I
Can
have,
we zoom in on that a little bit more?
how do you do this?
Maybe not.
Yeah, I don't know how to zoom it in. I'll
Just put it
just,
closer. There you go.
yeah,
That'll do it. Mhm.
okay, just gonna talk about it. Okay, so
I'll
first,
stop the other video.
yeah.
Yeah, that'll help.
So
Okay.
first, what
Mhm.
you're gonna do is, if someone asks for, let's say, like what's in here, a dolphin, you have to make sure that you have your main focal, um, what we call this main focal design, which is the dolphin. If someone asks for a dolphin, now what's your supporting design? That will be, let's say, waves, or like what I put here. I translated the waves or the water into petals, right? That gives a different interest to it and make it a bit more feminine. So you have to find where you'd like to place your main focal design on the face first, and placing it within harmony to the other side as well. Like I had placed my dolphin right here, my main focal, and my supporting focal is this flower right here, which is pointing to it. And the middle bit right here is where it crosses. Okay.
Mhm.
So once I have placed the petals that is swaying along, that's where the other focal point uh, comes, right? So it's not always in a pattern of eternity pattern. You're breaking the eternity pattern, but still giving that impression that there is a flow happening to the face. It will become a bit more pleasing that way than having it all over the place. Okay, so um, this year is year of the ox. Anyone here is a Chinese celebrating?
Singapore, I've got that so far. I haven't heard anybody else being Chinese, but if somebody says they're Chinese, they are.
Or people who celebrate year of the ox year.
What
So
year is it in China?
it's still 2020 at the
Oh,
moment.
I mean the year of the bat or the year of the ox or the whatever.
Yeah. So it's 2021 is year of the ox there, but at the moment it's still year of the rat there.
Ah,
Rat bag.
gotcha.
The rats. Okay. Okay. So how come I'm not seeing any comments? Would you like
Um,
my comment?
I don't know. They're watching. They're just quietly absorbing what you're telling them.
Okay. Okay. So now because it's year of the ox, all
Mhm.
right, I just wanna talk about the difference between on the job one stroking and the one that you would usually see being posted on the internet that is their major artwork. Okay, so I am one of the people who is guilty about this one. Okay, so when on the job I try to make it a lot more simpler when I am painting on the job, right? uh, but if I'm going to do an artwork on myself, I will go on realism. But to be a pro, you have to know both. Okay? Because
Mhm.
there are times that when you're on the job, it will require you to actually show the highest skill you have. Okay? And there are times that you can mix both, right? So what I'm going to show you today is both. Okay? We're going to do the one stroking and the realism of this, and I'll paint it on my face. Okay, so is that okay to paint my
Mhm.
face? So with the one stroking, so my style of visualizing the animal look and transfer it to my face or to someone's face is basically placing everything at the same spot. Like let's say the eyes will go where my eyes is, my nose will go where the nose is, and the mouth will go where the mouth is on my face. So that's how you do transformations. In the same with one stroking on the job. Okay, so we are going to do the one stroking of this ox, year of the ox thing,
Okay.
uh, our Salian board right here.
Uh, uh, Patty says we're watching like pro students, Prima.
Fantastic. I know that you're extremely pro already. So I just want to remind you all that because especially nowadays we aren't working all the time, please don't stop painting and practicing. Don't put those all your gears away or maybe part of it. Put it away because you don't need to use all that gear. But try not to give up, please. Okay? Don't give up the thing that you have started that you love doing. Keep practicing, even though it's for like line work and that, or experimenting. Just make sure you're painting even once a week. Okay. For me, I haven't been posting, but I do practice at least once a week on my leg because I've been busy working. So, but I still put time on doing so. Okay. So now we are going to grab our um, 3/4 flat brush, all right? So I'm going to talk about how I am going to mark this look first on
Can
some
you
of,
move it? Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. That's good.
yeah, yeah, okay. So remember when you're practicing on a flat board, it's different when you stroke it on the face, okay? So
Andrea says you always pick interesting animals: baboons, monkeys, oxes.
yes,
One of the many reasons they love you.
pick the very uncommon because that's where you find it challenging. I like challenging myself. And that's
Mhm.
how you will be exploring more of your techniques by picking things that's very uncommon. Okay. So
Yeah.
um, the
Iris said
way,
she was doing a pregnancy belly gig. Okay.
oh, wow. Where is he? Where is she?
I think she's in the UK.
Oh, wow.
No, no, wait a
Yeah.
minute. No, Iris is in the United States. It's too late for anybody in the UK.
Okay. So I have made my own one stroke color right here, but you can pick whichever color
Illinois.
you
Yep.
want. And I am going to load my one stroke, picking some of the black. Okay. So there is a secret when using one stroke with black edgings on it. Okay. It's, I say it's a secret because it hasn't been mentioned in a lot of classes. All right.
Mhm.
So the main thing when positioning the black, it's not just for edging. Okay, you assume where the shadow falls, and that's where you place the darker or the black color. Did I make sense?
Yep.
Okay, so a lot of face painters would paint everything with black just on the edge. No, you can use that to actually add a little bit of three-dimensional when you are painting. Okay,
Hmm.
for example,
Okay.
this this
So
part
you
right,
so you do so you use a split cake to actually do the three-dimensional painting, which is okay. That's great.
yes, yes. It's not just for edging all the time, placing all the darker color more um visible color on the edge. It's you can use it as to make it like pop sometimes. Okay, so
Mhm.
let's say with this, right, the cow or the ox face. So as you see, there is a darker bit right here and there is a lighter bit right here. So sometimes, or most of the time, artists would actually place the black all the way along right here, but you don't need to, because if you're going to do it in realism effect, you can place where the shadow or where the shape goes. Okay, so we are going to apply, and it also shows here in the cartoon version. Okay, don't look at pictures as flat. Look at it as 3D. All
Mhm.
right. So let's start in the middle. Okay. So we are going to place first. For me, I always go on the forehead first, right? Because like I mentioned before, when you have people with shorter hairline or bigger forehead, you can estimate how far, how big the design you can go or
Mhm.
how elaborate you'd like it to do. So I always go where the forehead bit is first, which is includes the eyebrows. So
Mhm.
we're going to make this a boyish one because I'm going to do a girly one on me. Okay. So this boyish one has a really angry eyebrow. Okay. So this is the normal eyebrow line. Most people would just follow the eyebrow line, but when you're doing it in a manner that you'd like it to look angry, you must actually bypass some of the eyebrows. All right. And then we're going to place the eyelid right there. And right here, we're just gonna use the lighter color. See? Now, with the bottom bit here, because it's a longer face, all right? So when you're creating full face animals, I don't know if I had mentioned it in my other classes, in your class before, right? If it's a long face animal, okay? Here is your guideline, okay? The middle part of the eyes right here, that's where your cheekbone curves, okay? I'm just gonna show it to you, okay? You have to place that right at the outer corner of the eye, right here, and then right where this middle bit is, right? That's where you curve your cheekbone, okay? If it's a rounded face animal, let's say a tiger, a lion, or a kitty cat, you round it below the cheekbone.
Okay.
Did that make sense? So if it's a long-faced animal, you round it right in the middle of the cheekbone, in line, middle of the eyes right here. It's very technical, okay? So we're gonna do that, right? And then I'm going to turn my brush right here. You see? Once you do that, it will start to blend. Right? When creating a three-dimensional one stroke, you have to learn to flip your brushes back and forth, back and forth. Otherwise, you'll have one dimension. Okay? I haven't loaded this brush yet. Wow. So how's the weather there where you are, Blake?
It snowed today in Connecticut. So we had snow.
Can you send some of that snow right here? It's quite hot where we are.
I doubt I could send it to Australia in winter. I mean, summer, your time. I don't think that's possible. But it's a good thought. Oh, and speaking of which, good thoughts anyway. We're going to have Patty in again and on April 19th. So while you guys are thinking, enjoying Patty's work here, could you think about what you would like Patty to do? So
Prima.
Sorry, Jesus God, I apologize. Prima. I'm so sorry. Prima, what would you like Prima to do in terms of
as long as it's not split. As long as it's not splitting.
What?
As long as it's not splitting. I don't split.
Okay.
Okay. So now I'm creating the lip. Okay. Right here. And like I said before, we are going to try and create the lip part where the lip is and the nose where the nose is. Okay. I'm not painting a real face for this one, but I'm going to paint my face in a minute, okay?
Okay. So you use it the narrow cheekbones because you're making a long, wide nose.
Yes. Is that you asking?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. That's the number one thing, okay? Because I see sometimes a lot of people try and make a long faced animal and it goes so chubby. It just becomes so chubby. It is showing that it is a rounded face. No, you don't do that. So if you want to create, someone asks you to turn them into a horse and you haven't painted the horse design on someone's face before, the first thing you have to do is research the real animal picture, front face, and side view, okay? And then you work out how you're going to plan your stroking that way, okay? So now that we have this all laid down, think we kept chatting and then forgot to say what we're doing, right? So the ox right here has the ear right beside where the eyes is, and that's where you have to position it as well. Okay, so sometimes it's not big enough. That's why we try to um, make the designs just right in this space, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Just around here, because the space outside right here is where you put all the knickknacks, like the ears of the animal or the horn right here. If you paint, like, take this side as well, where their eyes is, where will you put the ears, right? Nowhere to put them. So I encourage everyone to actually, when you are going to paint full face animals, the way you do it, like I do, if
Mm-hmm.
you'd like to, is just paint around this area right here. Don't go too far from outer of the eye right here.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you won't have any space for other things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
So for ears and such things.
Yes, especially with the monkeys.
Mm-hmm.
You know, someone asked for a monkey face, and you can't put the ears right in the top
Right.
just because you don't have the space for the other side. Okay, so when you are using one stroke brushes as well, not because I am using a 3/4 flat and it's so big, you can't go into really tight spaces anymore. Not this one because it's on my way. Can't do my stroke. Um, so when I am using the whole body of the brush, it creates the whole entire ear. And then how am I going to create this bit right here? You just have to use some of that, half of it. You see?
Mm-hmm.
Not
Mm-hmm.
just you're using a 3/4 flat brush and then you say, oh, I need another brush to create that bit. You're going to reload again. That's a beginner thinking, okay? Because pros would like to just minimize the use of brushes. The one brush that they have on their hand, they will try explore what that brush other things could do, right? What stroke it can do, not just for flat brushing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now we're going to, where's that place? So the next one I'm going to show, it involves sponging. So we can talk about this.
Kitty thinks that this is super helpful.
Oh, thank you. I'm really glad that it is helping you a bit. Okay, so now we're going to, as you see this one, now here comes the layering. All right, here is the layering. Anybody heard about layering yet? So
Mm-hmm.
what showing that is behind, that's what you paint first. Okay, you don't paint this first and then paint the horn later. As you see, right, the hair is above the horn. So we're going to paint the horn first before the hair. Okay, so we have the eyebrows going up that way, and then the horns is just right above that. So the horn is like a cylindrical kind of shape. So when using a one stroke 3/4 flat brush, right, you have to use both sides and you gotta angle that as you go to a point. So on the job, this is what I would do, right? Because it just go one go. That's
Mm-hmm.
just 1 second of my life. But if I'm going to do it on a private setting, I'm going to take my time and add another stroke right there and do that bit. And then add a little bit of that coloring right there. And then I am going to add a little bit of stroke right there to create a three-dimensional look. Did you see the difference?
Yeah.
Just doing that stroke, which is on the job, that let's say a public job event, and doing it with a little bit of extra strokes. Okay. Usually I would add white paint over that to make it 3D, right? So what we're going to do, because this is an on-the-job one, okay? We are going to just do the stroke that is for public setting.
Okay.
Okay. So because this is the hairline, now we can't go on the hairline, but we can try to be as close as we can to the hairline. And we are going to start from where this middle is, this mapping of the face is really important, okay? And the key points that you gotta remember to come up with a pro kind of design, right? Is this middle of your eyes right here. Those are important lines right there. The middle right here, and the middle of the nose and the cheekbones, okay? Those are your guidelines. It's a square. Okay, so now we're going to start where the middle of the eyes right here, and then we are going to stroke up. You see, and now we're going to repeat the same thing on the other side. If I don't bump my camera, right there. Okay, there's the horn. And now the hair is actually lighter than the entire face. I have this loaded, right? So I'm going to reload it a little bit.
So you're doing this all with one split cake?
Yeah, I just made it this Christmas because I gotta, produce a color that would suit deer, reindeer faces and teddy bears and that. But you can use whatever you have, or this Craze palette right here, which like also sells, which I actually use too. This color right here, I don't know what you call this one. It's got the brown.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got the brown in it. You just have to add black on the tip of it. So what you do, you load this color and then just dab it a little bit on the black to have the black edging, and boom, you have your own teddy bear kind of color right there. So
I think what everybody's really liking about this, Prima, is that that you're explaining it, the process of thinking about it, rather than just saying, okay, this is my dolphin and this is my monkey.
Yeah. So with my classes, especially the convention ones, I am very technical. I can't get away from it. It's just, I want to show everyone how I do it so they can create it their own, right? I don't want to be just showing the design, my design, and them painting my design. I'd like them to be able to explore the design I taught them in a manner how I actually thought about it. All right, so here's another technique, right? I know some of you would say, oh, no, that's making a mess with my white, right? So when I'm on the job, I have 3 pots of white. One for sponging, one for sponging and daubers, one for line work, and one for just a messed up one, right? Like this one. This is my messed up one, where I actually try and change the color of my loaded brush already, okay? So I have loaded it with the color that I have here, and I have dipped the tip of it into white to change it. And then we are going to create this stroke right here, right? So what you see in the picture, when someone comes up to you and show a picture of something and they say, can I be like this? It's not all gonna happen. You have to work out and just paint it as close as you can. All right, so now we are going to do the strokes of the mane. Oh, they call them mane, isn't it? So now here is the things that you gotta practice now if you are not used to one stroking yet, right? Do your zigzag strokes. Can they see that? How
Yeah.
lightly I'm holding the brush and just
Hmm.
basically turning the brush side to side while spinning the brush. Okay. And then of course, there's the dimpling in the middle of the head right here. And voila. Oh,
There
okay.
you go.
Yeah. So right here as well, there's a little bit of the lighter color, which is similar to that.
Hmm.
We are going to lighten that bit. Any question?
No, but I have a question. How long would this take you in real life?
In real life, would probably about 6 to 7 minutes if
Hmm.
it's in a private setting, because I would try to make it as perfect as I can. If it's an on the job like public event, I would stretch it and probably not put line work on this one at all. It would take 4 to 5 minutes. That's the beauty of one stroking uh, full face animals,
Hmm.
right? Especially if you're using, if you're the, especially if you're using the right size of brushes, okay?
Hmm.
Uh,
I think you know something about brushes.
yeah, yeah, I do. Okay, Blake also sell my brushes. So
I
if
do
you got,
sell her brushes. Let me give
yeah,
you let me give you a link.
yeah, I have all my brushes in their website. So if you want to try them, you can get that from them. All right.
Here's
So
the link, everybody.
um, what I was going to talk about is with the right choices of brushes. Okay.
Hmm.
Brush sizes. Okay. So when you're doing full faces, the thing to do is estimate how big that face you're going to paint. If you're going to paint someone that is like, let's say 5 years old to 7 years old, their face would probably this size. Okay. So now
Hmm.
you use the 3/4 flat brush, because you will have then more flexibility in turning your brush and everything, creating the shape. But if you have used the 1 inch on that one, it already takes the whole entire face, right? And
Hmm.
this brush I use for when I'm painting bigger kids or an adult person to
Hmm.
create full face, because it covers more area. All right. I use the 1 inch for even on smaller faces. I use the 1 inch on rounded face animals, right? Take note of that. If you're painting a rounded face animals, like let's say cat, tiger, or bear, use the wider brush that you have, because then you will have less space to fill in later, because you
Hmm.
will, when you press it
So
hard
so is
like
what is
that,
that? An inch and a half or
this one is a 1 inch.
okay, 1 inch brush? Okay.
Yes, yes. If you press it hard, as you see, you got to learn to watch how your bristles actually work when it's pressed down. So when it's pressed down, it's no longer 1 inch, right? It covers more space, right? But
Hmm.
it's the same with 3/4. It can go to 1 inch size, right? Okay, so we are going to jump on this one now. We're going to finish this one. So if I'm doing this on a public setting, the only spot I would brush, put a line work on this one now
Hmm.
is there any question about COVID things yet, man?
Oh no, that's a good question. Hey, anybody have questions about how to paint during sort of the COVID protocols or anything like that?
Yeah.
Please put
Anyone?
that in
You can
comments.
ask me, because before I got back to work, I have done a huge research and got certification of things. And I'm gonna tell you now, you will be like lying. Someone will be lying if they say that they are insured COVID. Like they can function because they are insured, although it's COVID season. There is no such thing, right? So you just have to actually highlight and heighten your hygienic uh, way of painting on the job. So now, if you have any question right there, after I do this, you can ask me, okay? So if this is on a public event, all I'm going to line is just around the mouth right here, right? And then the nose bit. And then I'm going to outline, let's say it's a girl or a boy, just out here. My paint drying quick. And then just where the eyebrows is. My hand on the way, I'm trying to, okay. And then just
Iris asks if you want to make this design girly, can you add a nose ring? Would that be weird?
yeah, if it's you know how the line work will be over the lip right here, okay? Basically, this part you're talking about, if you're gonna add the nose ring, yes, you can, but nowadays we try not to do that because of the COVID. We try to be a little bit more cautious on pointing around where the juices comes out.
Okay.
Okay, so if you're going to paint a ring, just place it above here, right? Okay, so this nose right here is actually positioned just right here, right? You're not painting below, you're painting just above, right? And with the lips, it's just placed right on this side. And here is a very important thing I need to mention. If you're using brushes on the job nowadays, you gotta make sure that you have your cleaning process. Well, people are recommending 3 pots. I recommend 6 pots, right? Because we have the pre-wash, we have the soap wash, we have the water rinse, and then I'm gonna go on an alcohol rinse, and then I'm going to lay that what they call that. I'm going to rinse it again with the water rinse after it dries, right? Because it should be at least let's say, well, they said actually 2 hours, but with on the job that's very impossible, isn't it? 15 minutes of it resting right there. Okay, so just 5 pots would be good enough for just cleaning and processing, but I have the 6th pot as a when I need to just wet my paint. Okay, just dip and wet. All right, so here's another thing. If you are painting using 1 stroke on the job, paint, right? Paint the space where it's not close to where the, what do you call those? What's the right
Eyes.
word? Yeah, the eyes or the nose.
Okay, places. I don't know. They're moist, I guess. I don't know.
There's a right word for it, but anyways, you guys get what I meant, right? Stroke the lips. Stroke this bit right here last, right?
Okay.
Nowadays, that's how I'm doing it nowadays. Because if you are painting just right here, and start with a clean face first, wipe it with one of these antibacterial, hypoallergenic antibacterial wipes. You wipe the face first, okay? And you paint what's up here first, leaving the eye part, right? So then you can reload your brush, right? This is for people who still uses the same brush and just wash it on the job, okay? With me, I no longer do that. I use the brush once, no double dipping. I put it away, take it home, clean it, because I have gazillion brushes to use. But for people who does the cleaning on the job, this is an important key point, okay? Paint this part right here last, because before you get there, you have to reload your brush and make sure that it's well loaded, because you've got no.
I see. So you don't want to reload your brush with that on it. Exactly.
Yes.
I see what you're saying.
Once you touch where the nose, the mouth, and around here, you cannot reload that brush anymore. You got to get a new brush.
I'm with
That's
you.
how it works nowadays. But
I think that was Amy's question. She said you're painting on the mouth of design. Are you still doing that during the pandemic? Shouldn't you be using disposable?
No. Okay, so where is that question? Yeah, no. We don't do that anymore. We don't do that anymore. Okay. So pre-pandemic, we can do the whole entire thing. Actually, we shouldn't be, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's how we are taught. There's not much things to worry about before. But now, paint this bit lastly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do the face that doesn't have juices in it just yet. So this is what I would do if
Mm-hmm.
it's open to public. Okay.
And Frida asked the question, how do you reload? Sorry, Jennifer asked, how do you recommend sterilizing brushes between kids on the job? How about flowers around the ears?
Flowers around, what do you mean? Just around here?
Yeah.
Um, what does she
Try to
mean
understand
with
that.
brush?
Not sure. Maybe she'll comment on this further. But so you mentioned how you sterilize brushes. You use sort of 5 baths. Um,
Yeah,
uh, and
yeah.
then how do you reload your split cake? Do you use a new brush every time?
For every child, yes. But if you're going, you just use one brush per child. You don't use the same brush on another child without going on a process of cleaning it. So with me, I have adopted into a technique that I no longer reuse the same brush. Like let's say if I use this on another child, I will not use it anymore. I will take it home and properly clean it, let it sit or spray makeup alcohol. See these things right here?
Mm-hmm.
Makeup brush cleaners, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I open my tub of brushes, I spray this on them first. And this time you can spray some of this on your paints as well, only ever lightly, okay? Not soaking it, right? Just like that,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you're going to reload, like let's say for petals, because people doesn't want to waste paint, right? So they say, but my petal brush
Oh.
is well loaded with white, right? It's well loaded with
Mm-hmm.
white. Why can't I just reload that again and use it on another child? No, no longer happening these days. Back in the day, yes, we can. If we want to function safely in a, at least as close as we can as a safe manner, please don't use the same loaded brush on someone else.
I think I
Okay.
understand Jennifer's question now. She was wondering if you could put flowers near the ears to girl this design
Yeah,
up.
yes, you can. We can, and then put lashes on, right? So it's gonna put, so this is just a double loaded petal brush. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
when you're doing petals, try not to make it the petals too close to each other. Otherwise, there is no separation that's going to, like what happened right there. It's not too bad. Okay. We use 5 petals. And then here's the new technique that I have adopted because I don't want to go back and use another brush. I try to maximize, well, I use minimum of 3 brushes per child, right? One stroke, which is flat, and then I'm going to use a petal brush if I needed it to flower up, and then one round brush. Now you can't reload, let's say I was using this for line work, okay? I did the line work in that, and I figured that the tip of my, excuse me, the other end of my brush right here is rounded enough. So this is what I do, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Or if I have, let's say I just use this one, the petal brush. I'm not gonna go uh, and use different color. I'll just use the one that's activated already, which is white. I know white on white, what? That's not nice. But who is judging you? Not an artist. Child, isn't it? Child you're trying to please, right?
Yeah.
So as you see, because of the double loading with darker color in the inside, there's still a separation in there, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I use the other end of my brush to minimize the use of getting another brush to do that little dot. Did I make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So is there any question?
Yes. Frida asked when you double dip, but you double dip into your cake as you paint the same kid. I think what you said
Yeah,
before was
that
that
what, okay, I
with the
understand.
the mouth, you do the last part. You don't double dip
Yeah,
when you're doing a mount around the
yeah.
mouth, but at the top
You,
of the face,
well,
you double
yes,
dip.
yes, you can. But I highly recommend to practice your loading. So you do not need to do that. Some artists uh, are a little bit slow in doing the strokes because they want to perfect the strokes. So when you're doing one stroke and you'd like to perfect your stroke, practice at home and match it with speed, right? Because one stroke, when they're loaded, they go dry quick, right? Now, if you don't practice your speed at home, you're practicing your stroke, how beautiful it is, but you're not timing yourself. The paint will dry on you, and then that would require you to reload. Okay, so here's another technique that I just remembered that I always taught in my classes, right? Let's say this is loaded, right? Here is another thing. So you have loaded it all the way up there. So we have stroked it. So let's say this is all, that's all the paint that's there. Now there is still a lot of paint in there. You just spritz. I'm just gonna cover this up or move it away so it's not gonna get ruined.
Mhm.
Oh, I have 20 cents. I didn't know that.
20 cents. There we go.
So this metal ferrule right here, you spritz on there, right? See the water comes down.
Mm-hmm.
It pushes the paint down there, dab it a little bit, and then you're again good to go to cover up the space and do this other strokes that you needed to finish. And then sometimes when you have stroke like this, so that you don't really need to reload again if you just know how to manipulate the paint around.
Mm-hmm.
So when I did my first stroke right here, as you see, this paint here is really thick. You just go back there, grab some of that pigment, and then stroke on the other side again. And now, if you are a bit more worried about that, I have watched Andrea Mohay's class the other day. That was awesome. I was like doing my gardening and watching her do her um, pro air dips class. And she
Mm-hmm.
was using one of those kind of laminated plastics. You can
Mm-hmm.
do it like that, right? I'm just gonna make an example. Let's just say this is a laminated plastic, okay? This is what other face painters doing now because they still can't um, uh, take the urge to reload, okay? So me, I have been loading really wet lately because what I have been doing on the job is trying to move those paints around instead of reloading, all right? So I fully loaded that. As you see, there's a big gunk of paint right there. Just stroke it on the board. First, one, and then two. Now you have a pink pigment there, right? Now you can continue painting, and then if you need to reload, reload from that same one that you got. And then after you do that, you can spritz it with the 70% alcohol, wipe it out, and then do another one on the other side for another child. And that's how people here in Australia are adapting in their new ways of painting on the job along with the COVID restrictions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's very interesting.
Did I make a sense with that one?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, these are great tips, as Jackie says, and Andrea loves you, by the way. Um, so she was thrilled about that mention.
Yeah.
Um, well, I think we've arrived at our end times, and
Oh,
we'll have to know what class should we teach. Nobody responded to that. Jeez.
yeah. Well, I
Heck.
hope that didn't we finish really? 10:30, 11:30. Yeah. Oh my God. Did I
Yeah,
actually
time runs fast. It really does go by quickly.
did
It's
I taught anything though that they would actually apply in their job?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think the whole idea of cheekbones and sort of the way you're designing animal faces, it was certainly illuminating for me because that was I think we all anyway. It hasn't been a lot of I've never heard that before. So anyway, that was new for me at least.
Yeah.
So I think that was great, and we could add eyelashes always to girl it up. There we
Really? Yes.
Yes. Always.
So with you guys, I know that we have run out of time. I would really love to explain to you the more advanced technique or for pro advanced technique using sponging and one stroking at the same time, but we have run out of time.
So
Okay, so
maybe that's what we'll do next time. We'll do advanced techniques for sponging and one strokes. How about that?
together. Oh, we can do that. Yes, yes.
Okay.
So,
Well, we're thrilled to have you, Prima, and it's been just great fun. And I think everybody's really learned a lot. A lot of people, because of the time of day, are probably going to end up watching this. Would be Amy Luck says we ought to do part two, which
yes.
I guess is what we're
And if
talking about.
you guys have any more questions regarding COVID, how to work around with COVID and still function as safe as we you can email me or message me on my personal Facebook page, Prima Barton. You will find me on Facebook
Mhm.
or on my Instagram, which is prima.barton. Don't be afraid to ask me any question. Don't be shy. I will definitely reply with all the knowledge that I have gathered with me uh, regarding working safely in this COVID season.
Yeah.
Okay. So everyone
Okay.
keep safe
Yep.
and
You
God
too.
bless everyone.
Okay. Thank you very much, Prima, and thank you for this great way of bringing in the new year. So
Okay.
have a good 2021.
You too. Bye.
Bye bye.